All right, I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna have sound. Do I have sound? Do I have sound? You should believe me. I never gave you any reason not to. You're the one who has, you always trolled me. I never trolled you. I lashed out, of course. You're calling me names and shit. So I'm not gonna sit there and bend over and take it. So when you troll me, I'm gonna lash back out at you and call you names too. But it's not like it never came from me. It never came from me. Allo. Alright, let's fix this. Allo. Alright, let's try something else. Allo. Allo. I don't think it's slow now because I turned it up all the way up. What you need to do is turn up your volume over there. Alright, let's talk about Toni Morrison's new book. I haven't gotten it yet, but I ordered it a long time ago, and it is coming, and I'm extremely excited. But I have gotten a hold of excerpts from it, so we're gonna talk about it. I did a little show about it on a different website, and I'm gonna do my presentation on this website now. All right, I would ask everybody who is not into literature, who thinks of me just as somebody who used to be a model and they only want to look at me if I'm doing some sort of modeling, whatever, broadcast, then please leave now because this is not going to be anything like that. Because I know a lot of people, oh, she used to be a bikini model, so that's the kind of video that we would like to see. But that's not what I'm doing. Not right now. Thank you, Sean. Are you trolling me now, or is this true? It doesn't really matter. Let's blow straight past it and get started. What happens on the internet whenever you put yourself out there? There will be trolls, there will be negativity. There's a part of it. I just don't like it, but I'm dealing with it. The new book by Toni Morrison. I couldn't be ever, ever more excited than I am about this new book. I last year and the year before, for the past 2 years, I've been teaching all of her books online, and archives of this can be found on my YouTube channels. I am extremely fond of the type of literature that Toni Morrison brings to the table. And a lot of people say, hey, is it just because she's black? Are you only reading black authors? It's completely false. I like her literature because she is a fantastic writer. I like her narrative, how in certain books the narrative shifts focus and then we are included and sometimes removed from the story. When there is a first person type of narrative, you get this incredible insight from the characters' minds. And then when it's a removed point of view, we get this all knowing, omniscient narrator who's not exactly a part of the story as in living it, but tells us everything that's going on. And the veracity of the language, how her characters are so real. They speak the language spoken in the streets if they are street smart people who have never been to school. And if they are eloquent people who have an education, they will sound like that. So they have a lot of elements that I really appreciate. And I'm not sure people get this. And it doesn't really matter to me because I'm doing this presentation right now for myself. For the past year, I have been teaching 8th, ninth, and 10th grade Spanish and English. I've been lecturing in literature in the biggest libraries of Norway, and I've been teaching and lecturing Portuguese. I've been tutoring people in Norwegian. I've been doing a variety of different things. But literature is something that is always going to come close to my heart. And in 2013, February 2013, I was on a Skype call with somebody, and then they were going to go to sleep. And I said, hey, I'm just going to read this book, so it's all right. And this person said, oh, read it to me. And then I started reading it. I started reading it, and I would stop after certain parts, and I would explain what was going on, and I would talk about the literature aspects of it. And then this person made a suggestion and said, hey, this would be a great show. You should do that. You should do shows like that. You should put that stuff online. That would be super interesting. So I have this person to thank for the literary project and all the changes, the positive changes in this particular aspect of my life. The rest we just don't think about. All right. Now I'm going to read to you the first chapter of Toni Morrison's new book, God Help the Child. Sweetness by Toni Morrison. It's not my fault, so you can't blame me. I didn't do it, and I have no idea how it happened. I didn't take more than an hour after they pulled her out from between my legs for me to realize something was wrong. Really wrong. She was so black. It scared me. She scared me. Midnight black, Sudanese black. I'm light skinned with good hair, what we call high yellow, and so is little Ann's father. Ain't nobody in my family anywhere near that color. Tar is the closest I can think of. Yet, her hair don't go with her skin. It's different. Straight but curly, like the hair on those naked tribes in Australia. You might think she's a throwback, but a throwback to what? You should have seen my grandmother. She passed for white, married a white man, and never said another word to any one of her children. Any letter she got from my mother or my aunts, she sent it right back, unopened. Finally, they got the message of no message and let her be. Almost all mulatto types and quadroons did that back in the day, if they had the right kind of hair, that is. Can you imagine how many white folks have Negro blood hiding in their veins? Yes, 20%. I heard. My own mother, Lola May, could have passed easy, but she chose not to. She told me the price she paid for that decision. When she and my father went to the courthouse to get married, there were two Bibles, and they had to put their hands on the one reserved for Negroes. The other one was for white people's hands. The Bible. Can you beat it? My mother was a housekeeper for a rich white couple. They ate every meal she cooked and insisted she scrub their backs while they sat in the tub. And God knows what other intimate things they made her do. Well, no touching of the same Bible. Some of you probably think it's a bad thing to group ourselves according to skin color, the lighter the better, in social clubs, neighborhoods, churches, sororities, even colored schools. But how else can we hold on to a little dignity? How else can we avoid being spit on in a drugstore, elbowed at the bus stop, having to walk in the gutter to let whites let the whole sidewalk, being charged a nickel at the grocer's for a paper bag that is free for white shoppers, let alone all the name calling? I heard all of that and much, much more. Because of my mother's skin color, she wasn't stopped from trying on hats and using the ladies' room in the department stores. And my father could try on shoes in the front part of the shoe store, not in the back room. Neither one of them would let themselves drink from a colored only fountain, even if they were dying of thirst. I hate to say it, but from the very beginning, in the maternity ward, the baby little Anne embarrassed me. Her birth skin was pale, like all babies, even African ones, but it changed fast. I thought I was going crazy when she turned blue black right before my eyes. I know I went crazy for a minute because just for a few seconds, I held a blanket over her face and pressed. But I couldn't do that. No matter how much I wished she hadn't been born with that terrible collar. I even thought of giving her away to an orphanage someplace, but I was scared to be one of those mothers who leave their babies on church steps. Recently, I heard about a couple in Germany, white as snow, who had a dark-skinned baby nobody could explain. Twins, I believe, one white, one colored, but I don't know if it's true. All I know is that for me, nursing her was like having a pickaninny sucking my teeth. I went on to bottle feeding as soon as I got home. My husband Louis is a porter, and when he got back off the rails, He looked at me like I was crazy and looked at the baby like she was from the planet Jupiter. He wasn't a cussing man. So when he said, "God damn, what the hell is this?" I knew we were in trouble. That was what did it. What caused the fights between me and him. It broke our marriage to pieces. We had 3 good years together, but when she was born, he blamed me and treated Lila Ann like she was a stranger. More than that, an enemy. He never touched her. I never did convince him that I ain't never, ever fooled around with another man. He was dead sure I was lying. We argued and argued till I told him her blackness had to be from his own family, not mine. That was when it got worse. So bad, he just up and left. Up and left, and I had to look for another, cheaper place to live. I did the best I could. I knew enough not to take her with me when I applied to landlords, so I left her with a teenage cousin to babysit. I didn't take her outside much. Anyway, because when I pushed her in the baby carriage, people would lean down and peek in to say something nice, and they'd give a start or jump back before frowning. That hurt. I could have been a babysitter if our skin colors were reversed. It was hard enough just being a colored woman, even a high yellow one, trying to rent in a decent part of the city. Back in the 90s, when Lila Ann was born, the law was against discriminating in who you could rent to, but not many landlords paid attention to it. They made up reasons to keep you out. But I got lucky with Mr. Lee. I got lucky with Mr. Lee, though. I know he upped the rent $7 from what he'd advertised, and he had a fit if you were a minute late with the money. I told her to call me Sweetness instead of Mother or Mama. It was safer. Her being that black and having what I think were too thick lips and calling me Mama would have confused people. Besides, she had funny colored eyes, pearl black with a blue tint. Something witchy about them too. So it was just us two for for a long while, and I don't have to tell you how hard it is being an abandoned wife. I guess Louis felt a little bit bad after leaving us like that, because after a few months later on, he found out where I'd moved to and started sending me money once a month. Though I never asked him to. I didn't go to court to get it. His $50 money orders and my night job at the hospital got me and Lila Ann off welfare, which was a good thing. I wish they would stop calling it welfare and go back to the word they used when my mother was a girl. Then it was called relief. Relief. Sounds much better. Like it's just a short-term breather while you get yourself together. Besides, those welfare clerks aren't mean as spit. And finally I got work and didn't need them anymore. I was making more money than they ever did. I guess Minas filled out their skimpy paychecks, which was why they treated us like beggars. They treated us like beggars, especially when they looked at Luann and then back at me. Like I was trying to cheat or something. Things got better, but I still had to be careful, very careful in how I raised her. I had to be strict, very strict. Little Ann needed to learn how to behave, how to keep her head down and not make trouble. I don't care how many times she changes her name. Her collar is a cross she will always carry. But it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not. Oh, yeah. I felt bad sometimes about how I treated little Anne when she was little. But you have to understand, I had to protect her. She didn't know the world. With that skin, there was no point in being tough or sassy, even when you were right. Not in a world where you could be sent to a juvenile lockup for talking back or fighting in school. A world where you'd be the last one hired or the first one fired. She didn't know any of that or how her black skin would scare people, would scare white people, or make them laugh and try to trick her. I once saw a girl nowhere near as dark as Lil Ann who couldn't have been more than 10 years old, tripped by one of a group of white boys. And when she tried to scramble up, another one put his foot on her behind and knocked her flat again. Those boys held their stomachs and bent over with laughter. Long after she got away, they were still giggling, so proud of themselves. If I hadn't been watching through the bus window, I would have helped her, pulled her away from that white trash. See, if I hadn't trained little Anne properly, she wouldn't have known to always cross the street and avoid white boys. But the lessons I taught her paid off, and in the end, she made me proud as a peacock. I wasn't a bad mother, and you have to know that. But I may have done some hurtful things to my only child because I had to protect her. Had to. All because of skin privileges. At first, I couldn't see past all that black to know who she was and just plain love her. But I do, I really do. I think she understands me now. I think so. Taught me a lesson I should have known all along. What you do to children matters, and they might never forget. As soon as she could, she left me all alone in that awful apartment. She got as far away from me as she could, dolled herself up, and got a big job in California. She don't call me or visit anymore. She sends me money and stuff every now and then, but I ain't seen her in I don't know how long. I prefer this place, Winston House, to those big, expensive nursing homes outside the city. Mine is small, homey, cheaper, with 24-hour nurses and a doctor who comes twice a week. I'm only 63, too young for pasture, but I came down with some creeping bone disease, so good care is vital. The boredom is worse than the weakness or the pain, but the nurses are lovely. One just kissed me on the cheek, and I told her I was going to be a grandmother. Her smile and her compliments were fit for someone about to be crowned. I showed her the note on blue paper that I got from Lillian. Well, she signed it bride, but I never paid that any attention. Her words sounded giddy. Guess what? S. I am so happy to pass along this news. I am going to have a baby. I'm too thrilled and hope you are too. I reckon the thrill is about the baby, not its father, because she doesn't mention him at all. I wonder if he is black as she is. If so, she needn't worry like I did. Things have changed and might from when I was young. Blue blacks are all over TV and fashion magazines, commercials, even starring in movies. There is no return address on the envelope. I guess I'm still the bad parent being punished forever till the day I die for the well-intended and in fact necessary way I brought her up. I know she hates me. Our relationship is down to her sending me money. I have to say I'm grateful for the cash because I don't have to beg for extras like some of the other patients. If I want my own fresh deck of cards for solitaire, I can get it and not need to play with a dirty, worn one in the lounge. And I can buy my special face cream, but I'm not fooled. I know the money she sends As a way to stay away and quiet down the little bit of conscience she could got left. If I sound irritable, ungrateful, part of it is because underneath it's regret. All the little things I didn't do or did wrong. I remember when she had her first period and how I reacted. Or the times I shouted when she stumbled or dropped something. True, I was really upset. I was even repelled by her black skin when she was born at first. At first, I thought of, no, I have to push these memories away fast. No point, no point. I know I did the best for her under the circumstances. Where my husband ran out on us, Lola Ann was a burden, a heavy one, but I bore it well. Yes, I was tough on her. You bet I was. By the time she turned 12, going on 13, I had to be even tougher. She was talking back, refusing to eat what I cooked, primping her hair. When I braided it, she'd go to school and unbraid it. I couldn't let her go bad. I slammed the lid and warned her about the name she'd be called. Still, some of my schooling must have rubbed off. See how she turned out? A rich career girl. Can you beat it? Now she's pregnant. Good move, Lolan. If you think mothering is all about cooing, booties, and diapers, you're in a fog. I'm sorry, you're in for a big shock. Big. You and your nameless boyfriend, husband, pickup, whoever. Imagine. Ooh, a baby. Listen to me. You're about to find out what it takes, how the world is, how it works, and how it changes when you're a parent. Good luck, and God help the child.